look at this. Look at the mounting, and it is a safety car. Here comes Mika into slow corner. Whoa! Almost. And away we go here in the Netherlands for F1 down towards the next cover. Oh, it is! Oh my god! Whoa! Bit of a season as Nano wins in Monza for FRLT Tier 1 of 4 and right beneath! Oh, he goes! Hello, and welcome to FRLT Assists. And it is time for another race and another week. And it is interesting this week. It's very interesting this week because, of course, it is different track again. And it is it's an interesting track this week because it is, of course, the Hungaroring. We go to Hungary, Budapest, 4.381 kilometers, 2.738 miles, 14 turns, 2 DR zones, down the pit straight and down that little bit of a back straight there. And so it is quite an interesting one for us tonight. Then looking at the that's a little bit wrong. Sadly, I do not have the standings this week. Sadly, we weren't able to get them ready on time this week. Very big apologies to everybody off of that for not having the standings graphic ready in time. But we do have the calendar, of course. So, dearest apologies, but we have gone through Monza, Mexico, Brazil, Netherlands, the mystery race, and this week we come to Hungary. Then we go into Imola, Great Britain, another mystery race, then Japan, Belgium, Saudi Arabia on the 1st of October, Kota. So with that, it is pretty interesting. Once again, I do apologise for no standings this week. Biggest apologies to everybody for that. But yeah, we're currently trying to sort a couple of drivers out. They still haven't joined, so we are trying to sort them out. There's a lot of people to go through at the moment. So yeah, it is an interesting. It is proving to be a bit of an interesting, difficult night to get people in. I don't know why this has become such a problem today. Because, of course, it just had to become a problem today. Like usual. But, yeah. So we're almost got everything. We've almost got everyone in. So we are just waiting to get underway. So we've almost got everybody in. We're just missing 3 drivers for the moment. Let's just see. We've almost got everyone in. Of course, people start showing up the minute I've already invited them. This is proving to be a bit of a painful day, trying to find people. We still are missing a few people, which I don't know how we are because I've practically invited everyone. But for some reason, this is kind of what happens though when people don't join. When I invite them, I then completely forget to invite them then. But yeah, it's proving to be a strange evening, nonetheless. But yeah, we are going to get into it very soon. We are missing some people. Not sure who we're missing. But yeah, we have a couple of drivers who are just struggling to get in. I'm not sure why. Some drivers seem to have these consistent issues with trying to get in to lobbies. It only seems to be specifically like 4 or 5 drivers who struggle. I don't know why. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I do apologise to anybody I can't invite. Because I generally am trying to invite everybody I can. But, you know, nobody likes to join. Look, nobody likes to join when I first send an invite. But we are finally into tonight's qualifying. Eventually, we have gotten there. Like usual, eventually we get there in the end. But as you can see, it is Hungary. It's time for a new race. A race that we haven't done in a while, I have to say. It's a race we haven't done in a while. It is a double qualifying ban for EVR this week as well. So there's a couple of qualifying bans. I think there's 3-4 qualifying bans. But yeah, so there's a few people at the moment. First driver is out on track. It is Jay Snowy, and the camera just decides it's just not showing Jay Snowy at all. But as you can see, out on track finally this evening. Finally out on track for the first time tonight. And I've got a couple of fun new graphics for this week as well, which is going to be interesting to show for the season and so far what we've had over the first 5 races of assists. Of course, remember, it is a 13-race calendar. But as you can see, Jay Snowy making his way around on his first lap. I'll show you the first graphic after we've gotten through this first lap with the PR driver. Jay Snowy showing once again, I believe this is actually his 6th. I do apologise, guys. I have to type to somebody. But we will now ride on board with the man of Jay Snowy, making his way through turn 1. Very strong through there, not too bad. Looked like he had some traffic. But making his way down towards the end of the middle sector, 26.795. Not going too bad. Through into this middle sector, throwing the car through the left, the right. We've got a small kink to the left, pretty easy to get through flat. Can Jay Snowy make it through the right-hander flat? Struggle. Bit of a struggle to make it his way through flat. And through the final corner goes Jay Snowy. And across the line, it's a 1 minute 14.975 from the PR driver and an incredible lap set by himself. Tyler beats that lap immediately as he goes to a 1 minute 14.753. He immediately beats that lap very quickly in this session. I have to give it to him. Not too bad from the driver himself. Not too bad at all. We got next is Bran. Then we got one of the Mercedes coming across the line. It is UFRT Rob. He's coming round and across the line. He does go into P number 3. It is it just drops down the order immediately. Through all of that, Austin P5, Balaz P4, Jay Snowy now down to P3, and we just saw that was Amy coming across the line, only P7. Sven P8, further behind, not finding that lap time. Tom goes P3, but of course we have seen AERT perform quite well. But one of these graphics is quite interesting, I have to say. The graphic that is incredibly interesting in all of this is actually this graphic, the pace graphic. As you can see, pace of the grid at the moment. As you see, this is measured in seconds, as it says at the bottom of the screen. It is measured in seconds. So 0.0 SKG have been fastest this season so far. AZR, this is based off the last 3 races, by the way, round 3 to 5. AZR and EVR, both 3/10 off on average, as Robbie goes P6 now, P7 as Brand beats that lap almost immediately. ABE have had a sudden jump in form from being 1.3 seconds off the pace in the opening 2 races to now being 0.7 in the last 3. It's proven the change for themselves. AERT, far off the pace, 1.5 VMV on 1 second behind. So it's been a quite interesting, quite strange campaign for these guys. For some of these drivers, they've had a bit of a strange and different campaign. But yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, so EVR both have qualifying bans, SCT also with qualifying bans. But going back to the thing of pace, it's interesting to see, like, for instance, VMV, even though they've done decently well in this championship, I believe they're 7th in the championship at this point, that they're still... hello, Ethan Devaney. Good evening to yourself. Owen went P6, by the way. But yeah, as I was saying, it's interesting to see that some teams are, in qualifying, they actually like ART here. Again, really strong on pace. They've been like that sort of week in, week out. They've been really strong on pace in qualifying. But in the races... But it's just difficult. You know, I think it's a very difficult... it is quite difficult for drivers, and I think for teams. I think some teams like AERT have been unlucky this season. Same with AB. I think at times they've been unlucky. You know, a few teams have been unlucky. For instance, you know, VMV themselves have found quite a bit of bad luck this season, but it's been an interesting season for a lot of drivers, I'd say. Very interesting season for quite a few teams and drivers. You see Lewin Skiller on a lap now. I'm getting absolute complaints about not being able to invite people. Even after I've said this multiple times, that if I can't invite somebody, that's because I genuinely cannot invite somebody, but nobody cares. But Lewin Skiller, P6. Not too bad from the SKG driver. SKG, though, this week, they've proven that they're out of the first, sort of realistically, in the last 3 races, they've been first on pace, solidly ahead by about 3/10, especially with that race finish in Zandvoort with a 1-2. But this week, 5th and 6th in qualifying so far, 10 minutes to go. It's not looking like the strongest of performances from SKG. Not looking like that's one of their strongest performances. I mean, they do have one driver from at least 4 other teams in front of them at the moment. So, bit of risk coming on board for these guys. I think next driver around is actually Jay Snowy. No, it's not. It's Amy who's making her way round to start off her lap. Let's see what Amy can do. Heading up towards turn 1. Got a bit of traffic. I think that's a VMV. Yes, it is. Got a bit of traffic, but it is interesting. It's going great, Ethan. Thank you so much, man, for asking. It is going good, but Amy making her way around towards the end of the first sector, down by just over 1/10 of a second, just down a little bit, 1/10 of a second. Not much. Not much from Amy. Definitely not a good first sector. Currently 13th, not slowest of them all, which is interesting. Went a little bit off there, it looked like. Bit scruffy from... Oh, and a massive slide there. And that's 2/10 down now. Is Amy going to continue her lap or pull off here? Maybe continuing, maybe knowing that in the final sector there was more time to find. And no, into... pits anyway, into the pits, and that is that done. Is that D-Mub? Yes, it is. It is D-Mub making his way around. He's raced a few times in the past. I believe also season 1 he raced in. So, I don't know. I don't know, Ethan. I don't know. I don't know if we'll even do that. But D-Mub heading into the final corner and across the line. It's an improvement of 4/10, but look at that. Look at that, 4/10 only brings him to P11. And still quite far away. AERT Tom, fastest of all. 1 minute 14.6, pushing the lap times even further. Great lap from AERT there, trying to take their first pole of the season, which I would say would be very, very interesting to see now. Havoun Ruben coming across the line. It's only going to be P16. And now Balaz! Fastest of all, finding an incredible 42 thousandths over Tom here in his lap. Only 42 thousandths at the moment. Just over a 10th splits 1st to 4th at the moment. I believe we just saw Bran cross the line for P6. A solid lap. Lewin Skiller went P7. Now Austin went P8. Everybody crossing line actually pretty much following in order. So quite interesting to see from that lot. Tyler coming across the line. He wasn't really able to improve. But look at that. Carpe into P1. VMV on provisional pole for, I'm pretty sure, the first time this season. 1 minute 14.527. And that opens the gap to almost a tenth of a second between first and second. And that's going to make it a lot harder this season for some drivers. Raphael starts off his lap now. And that is going to be an interesting start for himself. Sven coming across the line. He's improving quite a bit. He can only go to P13 though, not the lap he would have wanted. AZR, they've been very good in previous weeks, taking multiple podiums. Thank you, Blake. Thank you. But AZR have taken podiums in previous weeks. For its last week, and I believe the race before and the race before. Hat-trick of races with podiums for AZR now. But this week, 8th and 13th in qualifying so far. Not saying they can't get it in the race, but it's going to be a real test to see whether they can. Robbie improves by almost 0.3 of a second and goes into P6. And that is a good jump for Robbie, for ABE, really pushing for positions here. But it's proving to be an interesting week, nonetheless. It's proving to be a very interesting week. And that is Tyler done with his lap. Only, he stays at the same time, I believe. He hasn't improved on his lap. So, a bit disappointing for himself there. Raphael hasn't validated anyway, so not going well for himself. But he's going for another run anyway. I think we've got Sven slowly making his way round. Who else do we have? Robbie slowly making his way round. Tyler is slowly making his way round as well, as he's low on fuel at the moment. But it's an interesting one tonight. It is an interesting one. I will say quite interesting to see here tonight how everything is going. But yeah, it's strange to see sort of such a mixed sort of top 6 at the moment. 6 different teams in the top 6, which is interesting. It's 7 teams in the top 8, or in the top 10. It's 8 different teams have all made it to the top 10, by the way, which is incredible. I have to say, incredible to see such a sort of close, such a huge amount of close competition going on between everybody as Raphael makes his way round. He does keep it within track limits quite easily, just trying to get a lap up on the board. His teammate only P16 at the moment. Quite far off the pace, 1.5 seconds off of the pace at the moment. But it is interesting to see, though. I do have to say that, you know, it's interesting to see 8 teams all inside of the top 10. As Raphael goes P13 when he crosses the line there. Not a bad crossing of the line either for himself. Puts himself quite 0.4 ahead of his teammate. Not a huge amount. We can see Jay Snowy's out for his final run here tonight. And I believe that is also... Is it Austin? No, it's not. It's actually Sven, who's also on his way out. Second driver going for their final run now. Got 2 more drivers on their way out. An Alpine and a Haas. Is that Carpe? No, it's not Carpe. It's his teammate, Riser, who's making his way around. If that is correct. But Tom is making his way around, though. He's got to find a 10.5 to go to provisional pole. So he's got to find quite a bit of time. See, already, though, Jay Snowy already almost to start his lap. But is he going to get stuck in traffic? This is the usual conversation, though, that we see. Is going early the right option? We'll ride on board with Jay Snowy to see whether it's going to prove to be the right option or not, because there's still quite a lot more drivers to come out of the pits. And I think he should just make it round okay as he starts off his lap. We'll ride on board with him. Heading down towards turn 1. No traffic for quite a while now. Can he get it turned in? Yes, he can. Touching the curb perfectly. Little bit of hesitation there. Steering not looking perfect there from Jay Snowy. Now into turn number 3. Downhill. You've got to get this corner right. And he's just about able to, again, a little bit hesitant, I'd say, with the steering. Just trying to get that grip from the rears. And end of sector 1, he's actually down by a tenth of a second. So Jay Snowy is struggling to find time in the lap. We saw it in the middle runs, though, that some drivers were struggling to find time on their second run. Through the right-left chicane, over the curb. Quite nice, catching a bit of grass there on that front right tyre, as you could see. Now heading round. Oh, and that's an invalidation for Jay Snowy. And that might actually be his qualifying over at the same time. So, looking a little bit risky. Sven as well is going slowly on his lap at the moment. He's going quite slow. I think we've got D-Mub next, who's going slowly. It is not Riser. I think it is Riser the next to cross the line on a fast lap. You can see there that was Sven getting out of the way. But Riser making his way around, keeping it within track limits. Something that we saw Jay Snowy couldn't do earlier. Heading around, Jay Snowy is doing another lap. Riser up by a quarter of a second here. This could be a decent amount of time. Will send him to only about P11. So he's only going to gain one place at the moment. Unless he can find more time in his in his final sector, I should say. So he comes around the final corner. He's got a little bit of dirty air coming off the car in front. But he should be okay as he comes around to cross the line. Where's Riser going to go? Riser improves by 3.5 tenths to P10. And an absolutely astonishing lap there from himself. Something to be really proud of. Bran improves by a tenth and a half to P6. Just behind his teammate in all of it. So he wasn't able to find all of the time he wanted. That's Amy going slowly for the moment. Tom is next. Tom is going slowly. He's going to be doing another run in this session quite clearly. So he's got another run on his hands. Then we've got him coming round. Belaz. We've got a lot of drivers making their way around at the moment. We've then got Tyler who's making his way around. That was Owen. Owen goes P9, improves by a tenth. That's what a tenth gets you up to P9. Jay Snowy now retires from the session. And that is him done for tonight. And next we have Belaz up to the line. He's in contention. Can he do it? No, he can't. It's only 47 thousandths and only P2 for the moment for himself. Trying to find Carpe! Look at Carp into P1 Carp, and an absolute massive voice break from myself is something I should really say at the same time. But 1 minute 14.428. That time Sven can only go P13. D-Mub is done with his night. Austin has invalidated his lap. That's going to be extreme disappointment for himself. Rob isn't going to improve, and that's going to be end of his session. Robbie not able to improve either in his position. We got to look to Tom though. Tom, P2. He does get on the front row in the end, and it's just about enough. Look at that. Ruben goes P12. That's a solid lap from himself. Leon Skittler stays in P8. And an interesting one there from himself. Who else yet to cross the line? Tyler's going slowly. No fast time from Tyler just yet. Amy is going slowly as well, pulling, I believe, an LR of Raphael across the line. And that is everyone. And it is VMV on pole for the first time this season. For the first time, Carp finishes on pole, and for the first time, his team of VMV finish on pole. What a lap from Carp. What a lap. Absolute craziness here. Hungary throwing up some just interesting results. But let's have a look. Carp is on pole, followed by Tom, Belaz, Tyler, Jay Snowy, Bran, Robbie, Lewin Skiller, Owen, Austin, Riser, Ruben, D-Mub, Sven, Raphael, Rob, Amy, Jacob, Alfie, and Sakir. Those bottom three all with qualifying bans for this evening. So, an interesting look at it there. You know, to be honest, a very interesting look. We saw with the pace, it's been an interesting year. But let's actually have a look. How true has data been to what we've seen here tonight? has it been very true? And you can see track-to-track data. So this is the data taken from... This is the data taken from each race and sort of who's been performed best and who seems to be best in certain areas. As you can see, SKG, best in straight line and high-speed corners. That's been quite sort of clear to see. For instance, Netherlands was a very clear one. It was very clear to see that, you know, they were fastest in the Netherlands by an absolute mile. Then you've got medium speed, which I said about last race, I believe. I said about last race, actually, in Abu Dhabi. I think I mentioned about this. SET have been the strongest in medium speed corners. That was very clear to see in sort of Sector 3 in Abu Dhabi last week. That was clear to see, for instance, in round 1 in Monza. You know, drivers pretty close all together. But like in here, we're about to get going. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go here in Hungary for round number 6 of FRLT Season 5 assists. And it is a great getaway from Carp, but 3 wide into turn 1. We've seen in real life this hasn't worked. And now Tom takes the lead straight away on those medium tyres. And that is exactly the start he needed here tonight. He gets away incredibly well and very, very quickly. And that is a brilliant start from the AERT driver, doing very much the opposite of what AERT has had all season, of struggling to get into the race. And he's up into the lead, and VMV down a place and out of the lead of this race. And that is quite a bit of disappointment there for himself. You can see that is a yellow flag for Alfie that's gone round. SET might be having another difficult weekend to comprehend, just very much like the Netherlands. This was how it started. One driver had a moment and somebody else has had a moment. That's Jacob. Jacob has had a moment. He goes off the track, and that is disappointment. Just pure and utter disappointment for Jacob. But now you can see Tom leads away on lap 1, and I believe that is actually going to be the first lap of the entire season led by AERT. They've competed in almost all the races except round 1, I believe. And now the first lap led for AERT all season. And that is a great lap led for them. 6 teams have led laps here in assists. Yes, 6 teams. But AERT now become our 7th. I believe only VMV, PR, and I think it's UFRT have yet to lead. Not UFRT, sorry. I think it might be either UFRT or I think it's LR who haven't led yet. PR and VMV who are the 8th and 9th. And I believe ABE, not ABE, AZR, yet to lead a lap either. So, multiple teams yet to lead laps still. Now brings down to just 3 teams. 7 teams have all led laps. But of course, this race is an interesting one here, because for the first time, you know, it has not been SET or SKG who have led out of the first 3 laps of a race. If Tom completes this lap, it'll be the first time that SET or SKG haven't led one of the first 3 laps. And that means crossing the line first. And I'll show you here what this means, because so far, laps this season, LR have led 6 laps, EVR have led 16, SET have led just an incredible and whopping, they've led an incredible and whopping 16 laps all season, which is just absolutely crazy. And then, you have SKG who have led a brilliant 82 laps. But out of all of the laps, it's crazy to see that all of the other 4 teams put together who have led laps this season doesn't even equal the amount of laps that SET have led on their own. So, it's crazy to see the front 2 sort of leading so many laps. And What I have noticed is from the last 3 races, the laps led by the top 2 in the constructors has been, it's been reducing. I have noticed that. For Singapore, round 3 was one of the races where we saw it was quite reduced. Well, not Singapore, sorry. Getting mixed up with different races, but we've seen every so often the races have changed. Like last race with ABE, they led a few laps off of the start. Same with quite a few different teams at the moment, but it's interesting to see that not many teams, have led that many laps. But now AERT can put 3 laps on the board. But it's interesting to see that EVR have only led 16 laps all season. The team that is 3rd in the constructors has only led 16 laps in 5 races. And tonight, of course, that's going to change because that's going to be even more laps led. That's going to change. Well, that isn't going to change, but it's going to change because AERT are leading laps. But it's quite strange to see that AERT are leading their first few laps, and it's going to probably be the 4th lap led. And that's going to be a decent chunk. That's going to be a quarter of what EVR has led in all the first 5 races of the season, and a team can do that in 1 race. It's just crazy to see. But at the moment, it's been a bit quiet. Drivers getting stuck into their positions. We can see further back, the driver who's dropping out is actually Ruben at the moment. He's dropping off quite a bit. He's just almost a second. Same for Alston, who's also struggling to keep up in all of this. He's just dropped outside of a second behind the drivers in front. So AZR, not where they were in the previous 3 races. They seem to have dropped back a bit. Look like they might only be on for 2 points tonight. I mean, if AZR, this is all they can bring to the table is 2 points. That's not what you really want to be seeing after some brilliant race finishes this season. But it's a very mixed grid at the moment, I have to say. But the one that I'm interested by is, for instance, SKG here. Not been a good start for them. Down 1 place for Balaz. Down, well, up 2 places for Luan Skiller. And he's about to get up another 3rd place because Jay Snowy has just gotten his first penalty of the evening and the first penalty of the entire grid. So, it's come here on lap 5, the first penalty of the evening. 35 laps of this race to go. 1/7 into the race. We're just about to finish our first 7th of tonight's race. And already the first penalty of the evening. So we might be seeing quite a few more. But with DRS though, Tom looks incredibly strong. He's just completed the 5th lap of leading. But here comes Carp into turn 1. That might change. And through turn 1, still battling. Carp retakes the lead. It might have taken him a few laps to do it. But VMV are up into the lead. And are we going to see the 8th team this season lead a race? And for the first time out of the first, I think, 5 laps. I believe it's 5 laps. I've just read my notes. Out of the first 5 laps, neither SCT or SKG have led a single lap. Which is, I have to say, crazy to think about. That for the first time after, in round 6, SKG and SCT haven't led 1 lap after the first 5 laps. Which I cannot understand how dominant SCT and SKG have been. But, you have to take into account that they have been incredibly dominant. SCT have dropped off slightly here and there. But here tonight, it might not be going good for Tyler's teammate, Alfie, but Tyler up on for a podium to add another podium to SCT's season. Yeah, at the moment... Oh, there goes Tom. He's going in. He's going in on lap 6. Are the tyres this worn already? Or is this another botched strategy from AERT? We've seen it in the past. They've gone early. We saw it in round 4, by the way, in the Netherlands. They went early. Didn't work too well for them. We saw it last race that they went early as well, and it didn't work. Are they just not learning from their lesson? But Amy's also come in at the same time. So maybe it's not just one strategy from the teams. No! Carp gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. And that is just incredible disappointment for the VMV driver. That now will drop him down to about P5 to P6 in this race. Possibly even further back, maybe even down to P7, most likely about P6. So P5, P6 most likely. So at the moment, it is a bit of disappointment for Carp. Bit of a struggle for EVR. Of course, they've suffered a double qualifying ban. It's been a good charge through the field so far for Sakia. Up multiple places, I believe up 6 places already in today's race. Yes, he's up 6 places in just this short time. But Carp comes in as well. Carp into the pits, and that means Tyler now leads away on to lap number 8. And SCT retake the lead of the race. Well, take the lead of the race, I should really say. I'm too used to saying retake the lead of the race. Take the lead of the race here for the first time onto lap 8. The gap at the moment, fast lap is held by AERT, but the gap at this point, you can see the gap is actually quite large. About 10 seconds going back to P11, so it is getting a bit bigger and a bit bigger bit by bit. But it's looking quite interesting for this race. Lewin Skiller's in a good position. SKG, if they were to finish where they are in this order, double podium for SKG and continuing to push their championship lead. They're leading in both assists and no assists. No assists have been trickier for SKG this season. They've not entirely been there. But in assists, you know, they've been kind of ahead of the pack consistently. SKG haven't fully been ahead of the pack in no assists. So one championship, they seem to be doing a bit better than the other. Points-wise, though, they're actually not. They're doing worse, by the way, in assists than they are in no assists. But we'll have to see after this evening with how they do performance-wise. Where is our previous race leader, Tom? He's not too far behind. He's gone for those hard tyres. So he's gone for those hard tyres really early. And he's going to gain another place. You can see how far back his teammate already is. You can see, just look at that gap. The whole pit straight is the gap. And there's Alfie in front, so he's already catching one of the early spinners in this race. But Laz has taken the lead of the race as well, so SKG look like they're going to get their first lap led this evening as well. So we are going to get some. Ruben gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. But Balaz proving to be an interesting driver this season. Last race, I believe he retired. This race, back up into the lead of the race. He was fighting top 2, but had a moment and it ruined his entire race. But now, Balaz wanting a comeback and wanting a victory in Hungary. And to add to SKG's, I believe, 3 victories so far this season. So to add to more victories for SKG is just a very interesting concept. But there goes Tyler, straight back past, and a simple move for Tyler in this race. Jay Snowy and Ruben both into the pits now. I can see Tom has actually broken away fully from Carp as well. He's broken away pretty decently from the VMV driver. And there goes Alfie. Not a lot of battling there between really with Alfie with these two. He knows the battle is not with them in this race. As now we're already on to lap 10. This race is absolutely flying by. I have one other stat to show, and this is track-to-track data. Will remind you of the data I found. Low speed and medium speed, which is what mostly Hungary is medium and low speed corners. It's got a good mix, couple of high speed corners, but we can see where SKG are clearly strong, and that's high speed and straight line speed. But in medium and low speed, it's been shown, Austin gets 3-second time penalty as well, but it's been shown that medium and low speed, SCT and AZR have proven to be better. But maybe that data is a little bit deceptive, because it's clear that it's not exactly working for AZR here tonight. Nor is it working for, just for some teams, I think SKG clearly being one of them. But you can see, let's have a look at the gap now between the leader and Tom's just 12 seconds. Now, the overcut does work. Here comes Carp down the inside. And it's a move made. And it's a pretty easy move to be made for Carp. But you can see that gap is coming down. It's below 12 seconds now. So I would say Tyler, Balaz, Bran, Lewin Skiller and Robbie are all starting to reach a little bit of a danger zone that these guys have kind of caught up very quickly. And by, I'd say, lap maybe 18, are going to be on the back of, you know, sort of the podium runners, close to Lewin and Bran. That's kind of what we'll be looking at. You can see sort of Bran and Lewin sort of both are probably the next ones. You can see already Carp has already caught up to D-Mob and Sakia this quickly. And the tyre advantage is massive around this track as well. Still, the front two go for longer. Is Bran going to go for longer? It looks like a lot of drivers are going for longer. All of the top 7 continuing their race. Let's have a look. Are they on the same tyres? That's the big question. Yes, they are. They're all on the medium tyres. All of the top 9 still on the mediums. We've got some medium tyre runners. Jay Snowy and Amy. Outside of that, not a lot of changes. But you can see Carp has now fully caught up to the back of D-Mob and Sakia. And so this should be a pretty easy move for the VMV driver. You can see chasing down, down the inside. And that is a very easy move for Carp to make. And that actually helps Carp a bit because it puts a car between him and Tom. But Tom ultimately gets through as well pretty quickly. I think clearly there was a bit of hope for Carp that D-Mob would hold up Tom a bit there and wouldn't do it, because at the moment Carp is kind of the one carving the way through for Tom to catch up to the lead. And so Tom is saving his tyres a bit because he's able to just carve through these drivers a little bit more easily than anyone else. So at the moment, it's an interesting factor at the moment. Down the inside, a big dive bomb from the man of Carp, and around the outside. Oh, and a bit of a moment he's had with Sakia there. And now, both Carp and Tom make their way through. Sven is now into the pits. He feels like it's time to come in. I think Alfie's had a bit of a moment. Sven with a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Disappointment there for Sven, and that is very much, I'd say, to some degree, race ending. You can see Robbie is next up on the list for Carp. I would not be surprised if that move got reported, to be honest. And down the inside goes Carp. He's trying to find a way past. Whoa! What a move from Carp! Even I didn't see that coming at all. I did not think that was going to happen, because now you can see Auster's really battling that. And now down the inside goes Carp on another car. And he's been able to put a car between him and Tom. And this now means Tom has to work for position more than just dragging Tom along. Holy, that was one hell of a move. Let's see what is Tom going to do. Down the inside, he's going to do it. He's going to make the move. But so is Carp. And Lewin Skiller goes off the track. Amy gets a 3-second time penalty. Tyler now comes in to the pits, leading a few laps for SET here tonight. And now Carp is chasing, and he's chasing very quickly. Apologies, guys. Dumb PC stuff coming up. And just, it does that all the time. I do apologise for the poor screen. My PC tends to do a thing of show me like a notification and pause everything I'm doing, which is quite annoying. But, Balaz now leads, Bran follows, but Carp closing in massively. You can see 7.5 seconds splitting the top 3. But that's with a pit stop as well. But Carp is showing brilliant pace in that car. I have to say, absolutely astonishing pace in that car. And I would not be surprised if VMV are able to get a win, because as you just saw there, a wobble from Tom. Tom keeps on getting a couple of these wobbles. His rear tyres seem to be going a bit. Ruben gets another 3-second time penalty in this race, but See, his tyres are just going a bit, and it's so clear to see. But I will say with Tom, if you look at his tyres at the moment, there is some clear graining. They are starting to get a little bit grained, and that's a slow car out on track. That is Ruben, who's going slowly. And here comes a battle for 14th. Sven, past Amy, 4P14 on track. There goes Carp, and now Carp up into the lead here tonight. And look at that, Tom's just been able to stay within a second. Now the top three have already run away with this race, but where is Balaz going to come out? He's coming out really far behind. He's even behind Tyler, but he's a long way back from Tyler. So he's lost a huge amount of time in just one lap. He's lost over 2 seconds. So have SKG, I'm going to say this, for the first time this season, have SKG messed up the strategy a bit. Now putting Balaz 2 seconds behind Tyler, putting him far, far behind the race leaders. Even if he catches up in the next 10 laps, which is probable that he'll catch up in the next 10 laps. Same for Tyler, probably more like 5 to 8 laps, most likely. So about lap 20 to 23. This is definitely a 2-stop though. I think we can all agree, even for Balaz, who's just stopped now, you know, these tyres could go to lap maybe 28. Do I see them going to the end of the race? No, I don't see them doing 20 laps on the hard tyres. I think it'll be very harsh. We saw the drop-off with the mediums. That it was very difficult to get them to go 15 laps. So I think it'll be quite difficult to get the hards to go even further. But look at this. D-Mub into the pits. And our Riser. We've got to talk about Riser here. He's made his way up to P4 in this race. And he's really supporting his teammate now. Because VMV are on for 30 points. 30 points this evening. If you take away penalties, current position would be 30 points for VMV, which is more than they've scored all season, which is an absolute massive haul for them, and I think would be the biggest out of any team at the moment on the grid for this race. They'll take the most points because SKG are only on for 3 points. Now, I've got to say as well, Jacob going for that early stop has actually helped him because he could actually get P9 now, so he could get 2 points and EVR could still take points at the end of the day. But it's still not the points that very much, as we'll all agree, EVR needs. Sven gets a 3-second time penalty, and that's not going to help him against Jacob. Jacob will know that he hasn't really got a battle with Sven going on. Lewin Skiller is the big person who's lost out in these pit stops. P13 while his teammate is P8. He's really lost out in the pit stops. He's battling with Austin and Robbie. It was a massive loss, even being so 4 or 5 seconds behind his teammates. It's, you know, it's critically hurting because he's not only 2.5 seconds behind Bran, he is roughly about 8 seconds away from his teammates at the moment. So now Balaz, by the way, has made a move. D-Mub, it's Amy in the pits once again in this race. We've got Jacob, who's getting overtaken a bit there, and he's getting a little bit scruffy off the rear. Looks like he's gone a little bit too deep in the Sauber, and that's just not working out for himself. But for the first time this season, EVR are set to not score points. It's worrying that for the first time, Jacob's not going to be in the points-paying positions for the first time. You know, EVR not in the points-paying positions, which is an interesting thing to think about. I will say it is quite interesting to think about. UFRT, Rob getting away with quite a decent race at the moment. He's sort of in no man's land a little bit. 2 seconds behind Balaz. 4 seconds ahead of Ruben. Ruben's not hugely closing either. So for Rob, he's kind of got this lucky sort of phase that he's fast enough to stay in P8. For UFRT, 3 points is very small for them in their campaign. It's not where they want to be. The 20-point penalty really destroyed their championship, and I do agree. But again, there goes Owen down the inside of Tyler, and Tyler down to P6 in this race, and that's another position lost for SET, and another 3 points lost. Oh, and a massive slide. There goes Balaz down the inside. He's seen the opportunity, but look at that. And that is now Raphael, who retires from the race, our first retiree of the evening. His race has not gone to plan, and Tyler down to P7, all because of Owen's slide into turn 3. And a big mistake there. Ruben as well, going slowly. It looks like he's had another moment. It looks like LR looking like they're going to be going pointless again here tonight. This season proving to be... Whenever I talk about LR, and I'm going to be honest, whenever I talk about LR, it's a peculiar season. And it's a peculiar season because if you look at their pace, actually, in the last 3 races, they're okay in pace. They're actually 7th fastest in pace. And definitely up there with ABE. And they're definitely battling with ABE and PR. Sort of on quite often, I'd say, actually. As Lewin Skiller goes P11. But, you know, they're often battling over position, to be fair. They are often there, and you could see in pace, you know, SKG are fastest, AZR, you know, up there in the last 3 races. This race will be a sort of a bit of a clunk for them, and there goes Lewin Skiller up into 10th, gains another position, but, oh, down the inside, Sven is still there. Owen now making a move, he's trying to get past Tyler as well for position, but they're still battling up the hill. Owen has to back out Tyler, really struggling on his hard tyres now. It looks like it could be quite a struggle towards the end of the race. But you know how I said about Balaz would have caught sort of by about lap 20 to 23 up to the top 3? He's not really been able to do that so far. He's on for P4. He's got another 5 seconds to close, then another 3, and then another 2. So still quite a long way to go to still gain another 5 seconds on P3. So we might be waiting a little bit longer for the SKG driver to catch up to the podium sitters at the moment. But as I was saying, it's an interesting one. You know, this stat. You know, as you can see, PR have been up and down. It's mostly their second driver that's losing them places and losing them pace. And there goes Balaz. Jay Snowy comes into the pits. And there he goes. There goes Tyler as well. And there's a nice move for Tyler. Up another position ahead of Riser. And that's what he needed. I will give it to SET. They've had a bit of, you know, they would have actually been, by the way, second quickest in the last 3 races. They actually would have been 0.2 seconds off the pace in the last 3 races. If, and I'm going to say if, they didn't have that horrific result in, and there's a 3-second time penalty for Riesel, but if they didn't have that horrific result in Netherlands scoring no points, being right at the back, the bottom 2 places by the end of the race, being dead last, they would have been second in pace, but that race really affected them. But I have to say, it's interesting to see LR, like I was saying, LR's been kind of a bit of a mystery, same with UFRT this season. Early on in the season it was good, after the penalty they fell away, but for LR they've kind of been a bit of a strange one this season, as now Karp comes in. He knows they're closing, but he wants to do that undercut again as he crosses for lap number 21. Another lap led for VMV. But, you know, as you've seen here, you know, it's been pretty simple. That means Balaz will take the lead of the race. And now Tyler does. Right immediately as Balaz takes the lead, Tyler now takes the lead of the race. Ah, poor Balaz. The second he thought he had it, he doesn't get it. But, like I was saying, LR have been a bit of a mystery this season. I'd say LR have been the strange mystery this season. And look at this. Karp has come out into an absolute minefield of battles. Lewin Skiller still hasn't stopped, but on fresh tyres. Can Lewin Skiller battle? No, he can't, and that is Karp up to P6. Back up into the battle. But for Tom, he's gotten away really badly here, because he's come out last, as now Alfie retires from the race. Second retirement, I have to say, after 21 laps. Not doing terribly, to be honest. Thought there would be a few more. Ruben gets the fastest lap of the race. But, that's LR's just kind of been sitting in a weird middle where they're close enough to battle 4 points. But at the same time, their qualifying pace seems to be decent. But their race pace seems to be the place where they're dropping it. And this is an average, by the way, in qualifying pace and race pace. And it's LR are only about 4/10 off the pace in qualifying pace. But they come out as close to about a second to 1.2 seconds off in the race, as Tom now gets up to P10 ahead of Jay Snowy. That's an important move for position. Still, remember, laps led this season. It's been a pretty dominant one for some drivers, as there goes Kart back up into P3. Remember, he has got that penalty. Lewandowski doesn't, but he's on those fresh tyres, which means he's going to break away. But you can see the just complete and utter dominance from SET and SKG this season for laps led. SET adding a few more laps this race, which is nice to see. Austin, by the way, getting past Tom. Oh my God, there's absolute carnage happening. Sakia battling for position. Who's stopped? Who's done? Whoa! That's spin! No, that's Austin. I did not realise which Ferrari that was, and that's Austin down to P11, and that is some disappointment there for AZR. Podiums in previous races, and now struggling for points. It's not where you want to be honest. It's not where you want to be at all. But you know, we've said about SET leading some laps. They're leading even more laps. Strangely enough, SKG, I think, have only led one lap all night, which is going to be their worst race this season for laps led. Only one lap. Now Sven comes into the pits, bumping up a few places, but we'll have a look at the stops. And Sven now retires from the race. He doesn't feel like he continued. Tom around the outside of Lewandowski giving him a hard battle. Round the outside, really squeezing him all the way. But Tom makes it up into P4. But now, the whole problem for Tom is he's almost 3 seconds behind Karp in P3. 2 stops for these two, same for Jay Snowy, and same for P11 and below. But outside of that, it is 1 stop. The whole risk here and now, for Amy now pulls into the pits and retires. That's the 4th retirement of the evening. Disappointing quite quickly. These last 2 have come in. I just had to say it. Commentator's curse. What's interesting here is actually how much closer Karp has actually come out compared to the last time. Karp came out sort of about a lot further behind, sort of about 13, 14 seconds. About 14 seconds behind, 14, 15 seconds behind the race leader. This time, Karp has only come out about 10 seconds behind, so it's closer than last time because of the incredible and astonishing pace Karp did have. You can just see tyres on Karp's side now, and I don't think Tyler and Balaz is going to go to the end of the race, but I do think they're going to try and shift to the softs. I heavily suspect they're going to go to the soft tyres because of how long this stint is going. Tyler's about to go on to Tyler and Balaz. Tyler's on his 10th lap here, and Balaz is about on lap 25 going to go on to his, well, I think Tyler's on his 10th or 11th, and Balaz also on his 10th lap on the hard tyres. We saw that the hard tyres don't last massively long, so we might be seeing another hard tyre stint from Tyler. But we saw that for Tyler, the hards haven't worked entirely for him. He's had a bit more pace, but when the tyres dropped off a bit, he really struggled under the pressure. It's still going even longer. Jay Snowy's had a moment, and that is a moment for Jay Snowy and PR. Oh my God. And it is some of the best teams this season who have performed incredibly well. We're saying about PR being the 6th, the sort of 5th, 6th quickest team in the last 3 races. Now, 14th to 15th, this has completely fallen away, and wing damage as well. Austin on his way in. I think that might be the race over for Austin as well. It looks like we might be seeing another retirement this evening, and that is another retirement. That's the 5th retirement of the evening. That is just, that is disappointing to see for himself. Lewandowski, by the way, battling with Sakir for position. Jay Snowy also retires. And that is another retirement, the 6th retirement this evening, which is interesting to see. It's just so unlucky, especially for Snowy there. Just purely for Jay Snowy, just to spin, ended it all. I don't blame him for retiring. I don't think he could have done much, but I mean, if there's at some point a safety car in this race, if we do get one, I think he might be kicking himself slightly to do that. That's why usually you race till the end. But look at this. Carp, within 5 seconds of the race leaders. Within 5 seconds and closing. Look at this. Ruben now retires. That's another retirement this evening. Oh my god. Many, many retirements happening tonight. I don't know what to say about it, to be honest. I think it's been a very tough evening for some drivers. I've got to say, it's been very tough for some drivers. Both AZR, after their incredible luck, suffer a double retirement tonight. LR as well with a double retirement. UFRT, SCT, and PR all suffering their lone retirements as well. Oh my god, I cannot believe it. 5 teams suffering at least one retirement. It looks like Bran is going to become another one. Is Bran going to become another retirement this evening? I very much suspect so. But again, this is driver choice. It isn't like they have been knocked out of the race. It is very much driver choice for whether they do it or not. But what's interesting me here is how much longer Tyler and Balaz is going for the race lead. Because Carp has now got a 4.5 second gap over Tom, which means he is going to win this race at the moment. And it's pretty clear to see. As now there's a change for the lead. Balaz takes the lead of the race. But you can just see Carp is catching at such a huge rate. It's unbelievable how fast this Haas is catching. Look at that, 1.8. Catching 2/3 tenths in a single corner. You know, this is the time that they're losing. If they go to fresh tyres, it's not going to work. They'll drop down to probably about P6, P7, P8, roughly about there. Be a bit of a miracle if they finish inside of the top 10. So are they going to the end of the race? Do they think they can go to the end of the race? Because Tom is almost within 5 seconds as well of this group. What do we think is going on here? Because they've lost another second to Carp in the last lap. You know, it's just they're losing so much time over and over and over. I don't know what to say, but looking at the tyres, 12 and 13 laps versus 6 laps, you know, there is no fighting that particularly. And I think Tyler and Balaz know that there is no real fighting for position, especially when it comes down to cornering. But who knows? This could prove to be an interesting one. This is going to prove to be an interesting one. Is it going to be the fresh tyres to win over tonight? Because you could see another second. From this time last lap, it's been another second. And he's almost within a second of DRS. He is within DRS range now. As Riser as well, trying to make the move past Robbie. Ooh, a little bit of tangling there. That penalty is still going to send him down to P... outside of the top 10, P11 at the moment. So still not the best. For Sakir, though, he's having a great race. He's brought it back in this race, and he's up to P6. He could get P5. If he finds the right pace, he could get up to P5, which is interesting. Looking at the stops, he's only done a 1 stop as well so far this race. He's going to the end, but he's making it work. He's very much making it work, and now Carp is straight up into this battle for position. Do we think, how long do we think it's going to take for Carp to get past each of these drivers? Balaz is starting to pull ahead, but again, tyres is something that's not going to be on his side. Especially now, because Carp isn't having to push fully. He can just use his tyre advantage. And down the inside goes Carp. Tyler, I think, saw it from an absolute mile back. Sliding on the rear. Carp doesn't entirely have the tyres he wants. And around the outside. Whoa! That's Tyler! He's round! Tyler is round. Oh my god. And Tyler is going to have to give up P3 as well. That is mental. And now Carp chases Balaz for the race win. Big question, how far can Carp get up into the lead of the race? Even if he gets a 5-second penalty for that collision, which I very much suspect, and from my experience, will get a 5-second penalty for that collision, do we think that he can pull far enough ahead? Because he's losing time at the moment. His 3-second penalty would put him just about 9/10 ahead. As it stands, 9/10 ahead. And that's coming down. But will he be able to catch? Here comes Carp again down the inside. This time, getting the move done before the chicane. And you can just see the grip difference. Balaz can't even battle it through through turn 2 and turn 3. Can't even get close with the grip. Couldn't even get the switch back out of turn 1. Just shows the absolute difference in tyre degradation. D-Mub making a move for P6. That's a good move, and this is just pushing AB's championship contentions at the moment. Well, championship contentions for not first, but for high enough in the championship. Carp, though, he's had a bit of a moment. Jesus, we just caught on the end of that moment there. He had a massive slide, and he's losing a huge amount of time now. He's really got to push. He really has to push to get this gap back up, because he's just over 3 seconds ahead of Tom. And Tom will catch before the end of the race. And it looks like Jacobs had another moment through the chicane. We saw it earlier, and we've seen it again. Jacob really struggling. We saw it on lap 1, and he's doing it again on lap 30. So not looking too good from himself. But Carp now gets 8/10 into the lead. But he's literally right on the edge of winning and not winning. And that's coming down. At this point, he will not win the race. It is going up and down. I do not even know anymore. It's all up to Tom here in the Alpine. It's all up to Tom. Remember, AERT, currently in race pace, are the worst team in race pace. And in overall pace, they sit 1.5 seconds on average off of the pace of SKG and the leader. And in this race, they've turned that around and have proven to be about 2 to 3, about a 10th slower. About a 10th slower than the quickest in this race, which is VMV. And faster than SKG. So at this point, VMV and AERT are for the last 3 races, if we were to include this race as one of the 3 out of round 4, 5 and 6, AERT and VMV would now be about 5th and 6th in race pace because of this such change to being leaders. But Carp has now grown just over a second lead in the race. Tom is struggling a bit with his tyres. He is struggling because he's lost about 4/10 now to Carp, who's in the lead. He's lost that sort of chance of getting the win unless he can close up more. And unless there's another penalty for Carp, which quite possibly there will be, there is a very high chance that there will be, it might be interesting. It will be interesting to see where Carp goes. Because Carp is proving to be quite quick. He's proving to be very quick today, but he is racing on edge at the moment, as you can see, literally hundredths. If he crosses the line and wins, and does not get a post-race penalty from the stewards, he will win this race. But if he does get a post-race penalty from the stewards, there is a chance, he might be out of the chance of winning tonight's race. But Carp continues on to lap 33 in the lead. 3 laps to go, and I do not suspect that we're going to see a change of lead at any point. I don't think we're going to see anybody change in the lead of this race. And I think Carp is going to lead another 3 laps of VMV, another dominant 3 laps. on top of the laps they've already had in the lead. But what's interesting to see is tonight, it will be, I think VMV, based off of tonight, would have led more laps in this singular race than EVR have led in 5 races. And if we were to include this race, 6 races. 6 races and 16 laps led. And I believe as it is currently, as Owen gets a 3-second time penalty, not a good showing for AERT. That's a position lost and ultimately out of the points. But for EVR, it's not a good showing for EVR. Yes, they've made the return from their qualifying ban, P7 and P10, soon to be P8, P7 and P8. So, yeah, pretty solid 8 points. Still some points at the end and a good recovery, keeping it clean. As Lewin Skiller goes off there. And that's a massive moment for Lewin Skiller. That's an absolute massive moment for him as he goes down to P10 now. It will be P8 at the end. But that's just losing his team points and dropping them down to just 19 points this race. A big mistake there from himself. D-Mub, by the way, is really on something at the moment because he is absolutely running out in the lead of this train. P5 for the moment. He's doing we've got to talk about him doing an incredible job at the moment, though. He is doing an incredible job. 10 points for ABE. I think he's pretty much, if I'm correct, the sole point scorer for ABE all season. You know, it's just an interesting thing to see with ABE. You know, they went 3 races without points. The first, you know, the opening 3 races. Then they scored points in the Netherlands. Then they scored points last race. They took pole last race as well, by the way, in the mystery race, which scored them a point. So they could still count a point for their weekend. But it was incredible to see a pole from ABE. And now this race, they're on for P5. Possibly also a double points finish. But even if they just get P5, another 10 points walking their way at the end of their season. Not end of their season, but at the end of their sort of testing time. 3 races without points and now 3 races with points. Astonishing to see. But you can see Tom has now caught up to Balaz, but he's got a problem. He's got a big problem because Balaz is holding him up massively for position. And this is racing for potentially a victory if there is a post-race penalty to Carp. So these two are full-on racing. And for Tom now, he's not going to get ahead currently with that 3-second penalty for Carp, nor is Balaz because he's dropped over 3 seconds behind. But I suspect it is going to be incredibly close because you can see Carp is making a few mistakes. His tyres definitely have worn off a bit because you can see the gap is going up and down. I do not know what's going to happen, but we've got to talk about Carp here tonight. He has proven that he can lead a race. He has proven he can take pole and he can be incredibly fast. And he has the racecraft to get through the field with ease. And now, coming round the final corner in Hungary, Carp wins for VMV in Hungary, and it is a brilliant victory for himself. And then it will be second for Balaz, Tom in third, and a podium for AERT, their first of the season. Then we have Tyler in fourth, and a bit of a struggle finish for SCT. Then we have D-Mub, who is going to finish in P5, the best finish for ABE this season. Zakir in 6th, Jacob in 7th, Lewin Skiller in 8th, Riser in 9th, Owen in 10th. Holy, what an end. I've just seen Tom mentioning that he had to save fuel for 30 laps. 30 laps, which is absolutely crazy to think about. 30 laps. So it's an incredible evening for VMV. They've been waiting for this. They've been waiting for a brilliant finish all season. They've been up and down, here and there. And finally, round 6 comes to them. It's not the first time we've seen a team who wasn't in contention win from pole. We saw it with TTRE in the season 2. But Carp wins from Balaz, Tom, Tyler, D-Mub, Sakia, Jacob, Lewinskiller, Riser, Owen, Rob, Robbie, and Brand. Then the retirements being Jay Snowy, Austin, Ruben, Amy, Sven, Alfie, and Raphael. Holy, what an end to the evening. What an end indeed. That was, notably, would be interesting. Would be quite interesting to see, I have to say. Would be very interesting to see from all of the teams. But it's an incredible race. Quite a few retirements, so an interesting one there to show that not even the top teams are safe from retirements, not even the higher teams in the championship. But it was still a very interesting race from start to finish. So I have to say it's looking quite interesting to see. But it's very interesting to see. But ultimately, guys, that is the end of the evening. That is everything done for tonight, which is incredible. I thought Hungary was going to be a sort of calm, sort of as it usually is, as it's been sort of over sort of almost every single season we've had. It has been one of the quieter races in the calendar, but this week it has proven to be, and this week and this season's proven to be something very different. But ultimately, guys, with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, make sure to click on the notification bell to know about all of the streams, videos, and shorts. And by the way, there will be shorts coming very soon. I've just been a little bit busy over this season so far. Also, make sure to go check out our lovely affiliates, SimRacing Centre, and make sure to join the Discord server as well. Ultimately, guys, thank you so much, and I will see you very soon. But before I go, I will remind you of this season's calendar. As you can see, it is Monza. We've gone through Monza, Mexico, Brazil, Netherlands, the mystery race, and Hungary. We then return again next week for Imola for round number 7 of the season. It's another tight, twisty track similar to Hungary, but it's going to bring some different problems for teams. Then we'll be going to Great Britain, a home race for many, and ultimately the day before my birthday. Also, then we'll be going to the mystery race to end out August before we have a break week, and then we return on the 10th of September for Japan, then Belgium, then Saudi Arabia, and then COTA to end off the season on the 1st of October. Can't believe it is under 2 months away before we end the season. It's gone by very quickly. But ultimately, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Goodbye. Look at this! Look at the mounting, and it is a safety car! Here comes Mika into Stoke Corner. Whoa! Almost!
for F1